Okay, chapter 3-6. Exponential and logarithmic regression. I was afraid I wasn't going to be here today, but I'm here. Okay. We're doing regression. Now, as you can tell, I told you this on the board up here. The regression that we've been doing. In Chapter 1, we learned about linear regression, yes? In Chapter 2, which was Section 2-8, we learned about quadratic regression, yes? Well, what do you think we're in this chapter? Exponential and logarithmic regression. So, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to get your books open. To page page 230. Yes. Okay, page 230, page 230. Now, if you're on page 230, you are going to see this example. We're going to do this example today in class. We're doing example 2. Okay? Now, I want you to pull up your calculator. And screen capture. I don't know why Tom's not logged in. Because Tom refuses to use the calculator that I work with him on. Not shocking. Yes. So, everybody's logged in. What I want you to do is, oh, that's not mine. Never mind. Make sure you have nothing open, okay? In other words, you have a ghost 4, yes? How do you do that? Jess, where are you? Jess. Make present. I want you to hit 4. Control W. And no, you do not want to save. Okay? Now everybody should be back to their home screen. Control W. All right, does everybody have, John, you have a current. Justine, you have a current. Hit 4. Control W and then hit no. No, John. Can you hit Control W and no? Yeah, there you go. Okay, excellent. Now, I want everybody to go to a new document. So hit 1 for new document. And what we need to do is enter in all this data. So how do I enter in data? Where do I go? You're going to go add lists and spreadsheets. So we're going to do 4 for add lists and spreadsheets. Now, if you read this, it says fit the following data from model example A1 to quadratic model, an exponential model, and a power model. Determine which model best fits the data. You can, but I'd really like everyone to stay with me today. Listening skills and following along skills are to be desired by some of you. We're going to put X for A, and for B, you're going to let Y. Y is going to be named as your B column. And start entering the data. 2, 1. 4.5. Done. Go fingers. Should have 16 points. Make sure you check your points to make sure that your data is accurate. If you don't check your points and your data is messed up, then your equations are not going to match up. Do we all understand that? We've done this enough times for you to understand what you should need to do. Oopsie. How do you get back up to the beginning of the data? Control 7. Control 9 should take you to the bottom of your data. Okay, now we have our data. Now I need to see this data graphed. So how do I graph that? I need to add a new page, so Control Doc, and then I'm going to add a graphs page. Okay? Now how do I get to see it in scatter plot form? Menu, graph type, scatter plot. And X is going to be what? X, and Y is going to be Y, and graph it. Now, John, what's up, man? Okay. Luke, add a new page. Control Doc. No. Escape. Control Doc. Now add graphs. Graph type. Scatter plot, please. Hit enter, Vuk. Okay, Vuk, you're up here. What I want you to do is hit OK. And I want you to go back to 1.1. You never named your B column. Obviously not. And hit enter. Now go to 1.2. And then label that X and label that Y. And hit enter. Thank you for shopping. Yeah. Okay, now there's our data, yes? Okay, now we're going to add a new page. So Control Doc. For those of us rebelling today and using your other calculator, you need to hit escape or go to your, you need to go to your home page, your home screen, your calculator page. We want to add a calculator page because now what are we going to do here? We're going to hit menu, and what are we going to do? Statistics, stat calc, and what are we going to do? No, the directions said do a quadratic model, do an exponential model, and do a power model. So we're going to do a quadratic regression. So we're going to do 6 for quadratic. Okay? X is going to be your X list. Y is going to be your Y list. You're going to store it in F1. And tab down until you hit OK. There's your regression model. Let me go to you. Dana. X is your X list. Y is your Y list. You are storing it in the F1. And just tab down and hit OK, Dana. There is your quadratic. Okay? Now, Dana, I want you to scroll up if you can here. There you go. Now, you did not do quadratic. Do you see that? You did quartic. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to do Control up arrow. Just delete that page. You have way too many pages. Delete that one. And now go to this one. Hit Enter. Now, I want you to hit Stat Calculation, Stat Calculation. Get out of there. Now you want 6. Good. Do we see that? Now go through it. If you want it to be X and Y, and you want it to store it in F1, not F2, F1. See if it'll type it in. Do F1. And see if you can override it. Now go down there and hit OK. Yep, there we got it. It's a beautiful thing. There you got it. Now, does everybody see that that's your quadratic? Okay? So we have it. Now, we're going to add another page because we got to do this how many different times? So we're going to add a calculator page, again, because I want them on different pages so that we don't screw it up. Do we all understand that? So we're going to hit Menu, and you're going to do Statistics, Stat Calculations, and this time we want an exponential regression. Exponential regression is your A. X, Y, and you want this one to be stored in F2. Okay, I'm going to check your guys' screens to make sure everybody's with me. Then the next one you want to do is the power function. Okay, so I'm going to add a new page, and I want it to be a calculator page again. I hit Menu, Stat Calculations, and this time I want the power regression model, which is number 9. And I have X, I have Y, and I'm storing that in F3. And hit OK. Okay, you see your R values for your power function. Your R value is 0.965. That looks pretty darn good, doesn't it? This is your exponential. And this is one reason why I really, really, really like the Inspire, because it tells you what you're using. See, I have my exponential, and it's 0.997. So which one's better right now, the power or the exponential so far? Exponential is better. If we go over to 1.3, we did the quadratic. It's 0.993. So this one was 0.997. So if you're going to compare these two, quadratic was looking great, and we would have modeled this in Chapter 2 with the quadratic regression, wouldn't we have? Because we didn't know about exponential regression. But now, if you're comparing this to exponential, look at that R value. It's beautiful. Comparing it to the power, it's good, right? 0.965, it's good, but it's not as good as what your exponential would be. Do we all understand that? So now what I want to do is we're going to go back to our graph. So go all the way back to your 1.2. Or if you're on your other calculator, hit Graph, okay? And I'm going to do Control G. Why do I want Control G? I'm on my graph page. Now, what type of graph type do I have right now? Scatter plot. What do I want to see? I want to see my function graph, right? So I need to hit Menu, Graph Type, and then Function. Now, why does it bring me to F4 right away? F1 is my quadratic. F2 is my exponential. And F3 is my power. So what I need to do is I need to arrow up, and I need to turn them all on. So I hit Enter, and it graphs it. Control G, Now before I do that, this is my quadratic. Do you see it looks pretty darn nice, doesn't it? It looks really nice. So I'm going to do Control G, and I'm going to arrow up, and now I'm going to turn on my exponential. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I'm going to drag this out of the way so that you guys, there's F1, and there's F2, okay? And then I'm going to do Control G, and I'm going to turn on my other one. And there is my power function. A power function, remember, is that x squared function by itself, the x cubed function, the x to the fourth function, okay? And what F3 has done with my power function is notice it made it the stretch or compress factor, and then it gave it that exponent, all right? Now, you can tell by the functions what they are. And they're right there, and you can see them, and it's beautiful, and you can tell that the quadratic and the power are not the ones that we want. Do we see that? Okay? So at that point, what could I do? Since I know which one I want to see, and I graphically have shown all of them, I can immediately take this and delete it. I'm going to delete my quadratic, and I'm going to delete that power function. And now all I'm left with is the one that I actually wanted, which is my F2 function, okay? Do we all see that? Now, I'm deleting mine. You don't have to right now. I just wanted you to see without the other ones there how pretty it actually is. And I know I just said pretty. You guys can laugh at me all you want. It doesn't really matter. If you do, oh, I can't think right now. Control menu, that's your right click, guys. Control menu is your right click, like you would be on your mouse. It's your right click. Okay? All right. Any questions on that? Now, I want you to look at example 3 on page 231. Page 231. This is talking about your exponential. Okay? We've done exponential, we've done power, we've done quadratic. Now in example 3, it's talking about your logarithmic function, and it's talking about your linear regression model. So if we do this, I need to add a new problem now. Not a new page, but a new problem. So how do I do that? Doc, insert, problem. Okay? Now, I need to enter in data. So what do I go to? Lists and spreadsheets. I'm going to label A as being minutes, or let's just keep it with X because it's a lot less typing, agree? And Y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I could do a Control 7. My Control key must not work on my keyboard with this. It doesn't. Okay, and we have our data in. Does everybody have their data in? Does everybody have it done? We good? Who's saying no? Okay, are we ready? What are you doing over there? Okay, now, I need to add a new page because now I want to graph this. So I add a graphs page, but this is on a function graph right now, and what do I need it to graph? Scatter plot, so I hit Menu, Graph Type, Scatter Plot. X is X, Y is Y. Can't see it all, can I? So what do I do? Menu, Window or Zoom, and I want it to do Zoom Data. Zoom Data. Zoom Fit would work. Zoom Data just gives us our data window, okay? Our scatter plot window. Do we all understand that? Okay, so now we have to pretty much look at this thing and say, I'm going to change my window. Just in case anybody else's window is like this, go ahead and change it. Right now my settings, my X minimum is at 0.3. I like to see the negative part of my X-axis. And I like to see the negative portion of my Y-axis also. Just so I can see that that's the quadrant part of it. Do we all understand that, yes or no? I changed it from -1 for my X-min, and my Y-min was at -1 also. It's a little easier for me to know where I'm at on my screen, okay? You wouldn't have to, but I like to see that. We good? Okay, so now, could you tell me what this looks like you could model? It's like a log, because understand, the data goes up. The data starts to go up like this, and then curves, which is exactly what a logarithm does, right? Do we all see that? Okay? So, back to this. Now, I need to get my logarithm regression. So I'm going to add a new page, and it's going to be a calculator page. And I'm going to hit Menu, Stat Calculations. And what do I want? Logarithmic regression. And this is going to be X, this is going to be Y, and I want it to store in F1. There's my logarithmic regression. My R value is there, and my R value is 0.9967. Is that pretty good? Okay. Now, if I go back to my graph of 2.2 here, do you think that this could be modeled using a linear regression also? It does look kind of like you could maybe do an estimation for linear regression. So if we're thinking possibly that's it, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a new page. And I need to do some comparison here. I want a calculator page. And I'm going to hit Menu, Stat. And I want to do stat calculations. And this time, I want to do what? MX plus B. And again, this is X. This is Y. And I'm storing it in F2. And everything's OK now. Now look at its R value. Its R value is 0.948. So we're talking about 0.95. So obviously, you can tell by just seeing the R values with the calculator that the logarithmic regression is better than the linear regression, yes? All right, so if I go back to my calculator, my graph page, how do I see my graphs? Control G, I need to go Menu, and I need Graph Type, and I need to see my functions. Okay? Okay. Control G gives you your bar down there to start to graph something, but because we last graphed a scatter plot, that's what it brought up. I'm going to turn on my logarithmic function. It looks pretty nice, doesn't it? And Control G, and I'm going to turn on my linear regression. Do you see how many points are not as close to the line compared to what it's almost, every one of them is almost touching the logarithmic one. This one is not, this one is not. This one is almost, I mean, it's so close it's ridiculous. And then you can see all the other ones on linear that they're not. So the point of this section is for you to be able to tell it. If you go to Menu, yeah. If you go to Menu, come on, y'all saw me hit close, right? Do you go to Menu and Analyze Graph? No, sorry, I need to be on my calculator page. If I'm on a calculator page and I hit Menu and go to Statistics and Stat Calculations, There are lots more. Here's your logistics model. Oopsie. I have thoughts right now whenever it goes faster than when I want it to go. I just can't get it. I wanted to show you guys all the different things, and mine's so touchy. Okay? You guys have basically learned all of them. Linear, quadratic, there could be cubic regression. The quartic, what's quartic? Degree 5. Quad's degree 4 would be degree 2. Quad, since it's already used for 2, they don't use quad. Okay? A quadratic and a degree 4 look very much the same. It's that U concept still. Power would be anything that does not have anything added to it. It has a stretch or a compression with an exponent. Exponential, logarithmic, sinusoidal, that is like your heart rhythm, which is pretty cool, okay? Logistics, and that's all we're going to be using this one. Any questions? Logistic, what is it? Remember whenever we did logistics, we talked about what it looked like. It was on page 222. It's that virus one, remember? Remember how it went like this? Flattened out there? That's your logistics one, okay? All right, tonight for homework. 1 through 29 odd. Now, for those of you who have a graphing calculator in Inspire, if you would like, and for those of you who do not, if you have a study hall, if you want to do your homework all on the calculators and send it to me later on, I will be absolutely accept that, and then you guys don't have to write on all those equations, okay? I know. So, for problems 1 through 8, determine whether the scatter plot could best be modeled by linear, quadratic, exponential, logarithmic, or logistics for 1 through 8, okay? 9 through 14, use a graph utility to create a scatter plot. Decide whether the data could be best be modeled by linear, exponential, or logarithmic. In other words, it's just like 1 through 8. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm asking you to use the scatter plot feature, to use the scatter plot, and then determine which one is it going to be. I don't ask you to find the model. 15 through 18, use the regression feature of the graph utility to find an exponential function. 19 through 22, to find a logarithmic function. 23 through 26, to find a power function. Do we understand that? Okay? 27 and 29 are population ones, and I want you to do all of it. It is regression. Chris, what's up? Isn't that nice and sweet and easy? Whenever you log in, what will happen is I'll collect it from your calculators, or you can just send it to me. Yeah, just save it on your calculator as Chapter 3-6 homework, and then I'll get it from your calculators. Yeah, absolutely. Odd. Yeah.